Before we get going, favourite cover of Let It Go?
It's got to be that Japanese heavy metal cover, because it's fucking brilliant, and you're going to put a clip in right now. Let It Go is a song so stubbornly catchy, I'm going to hazard a guess and say that a couple of people watching this video right now had to listen to it on repeat for several weeks straight as a direct result of a family member absolutely loving the film.
I was that family member.
Alright, fuck you then, Brad. You're the worst guy. In addition to selling like 10 million copies, the song is also notable for being so good it basically changed the entire plot of the film Frozen.
What was the original plot of Frozen?
It was a more direct retelling of the Snow Queen, which people who don't know is the fairy tale Frozen is loosely based upon. And as a result of this, Elsa was originally supposed to be the villain of the entire story. And there's early concept art showing her as a villain, and it's fucking awesome. It's not like the Elsa we got, but it's a cool character design nonetheless.
Well, I can vaguely see Elsa in that design, but I don't think there's enough there for me to have been able to recognise it without being told.
Yeah, if I'd have not told you that this is early concept art of Elsa, like people at home, you wouldn't have known it was Elsa, I'm going to guess, unless like you thought it was Elsa's punk phase when she was in high school. But yeah, that just goes to show how dramatically the tone of the film shifted from when it was first conceptualised to like the final product we got to see.
So in the original draft, Elsa was the villain?
Yes, and Let It Go was supposed to be her villainous theme song, and the people who wrote it, Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, were given a single line of direction from Disney about how that song should sound. Do you want to guess what that was? Badass. That was the only direction they got on how Elsa's theme song was supposed to sound. Badass. Like, can you imagine like some like stuffy Disney suited executive just going up to these songwriters going, okay, we've got a film coming out, like we want it to make $1 billion. You're writing the theme song for like, the title villain. Okay, like, the titular Snow Queen. Okay, how do you want it to sound? Like any direction for us? Badass.
It's kind of strange for a company as big as Disney to only give one word of direction.
Yeah, I think they also did give like, the songwriters like, early concept art of Elsa so they get a feel for what the character looks like. But yeah, it is kind of weird, isn't it? And I think it plays a lot into the fact that Disney villain songs don't tend to be all that good or memorable. I think the only villain song I know is Be Prepared, and that's because you never shut the fuck up about it. And
Great song!
And the fact they're cutting it out of, like, the new live-action version.
I'm so annoyed if they actually do.
But, like, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Fucking fantastic song. I love the fact as well they brought Elton John out of retirement. Like, he said, I'm done. I'm going on one last tour, then I'm fucking done. And then Disney just reversed that dump truck full of money up to his house and went, are you sure you're done? We got James Earl Jones a skeleton out of its coffin. We can get fucking you. It's like, we Darth Vader does our fucking bidding. You're Elton John. You're going to be like, okay, I guess I'll do it. But yeah.
Oh man, Disney villain songs though, like
they're not great, are they?
Let's have a test. Lion King 2, what's the villain song?
I've never seen Lion King 2.
You've never seen Lion King 2?
No! I thought you were going to make like an actual real Disney film, not a direct-to-video piece of shit.
Did that not come out of the cinema?
No. They probably did like limited release, but go on, name an actual Disney film.
An actual Disney film. I'm trying to think of one that's got a villain song. Alright, I remember...
Exactly, you can't even think of a film that has a memorable song in it.
What about Aladdin?
Aladdin. Oh, that's the Jafar one, isn't it? But I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's called.
He does a different version of Prince Ali at the end. I think that's his song.
Yeah, okay. Exactly, and that's what I mean. It's like they don't really get that much play. And I guess it's to do with the fact that you don't really want the villain to be the most memorable aspect of your film, do you? Because no one's going to buy the villain's merchandise, and that's what these films are designed to do at the end of the day. Sell merch.
What about Tangled?
Tangled. Oh, okay. It's a fucking weird witch woman, isn't it?
Mother Gothel.
So, yeah, what does she get a song?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mother knows best.
Oh, that's what I mean. They're always so boring as well, aren't they? Like, they're always really slow paced. I think that's what the problem is.
Except Be Prepared.
The problem was, though, that while workshopping ideas for a badass theme song for Elsa, the songwriters came to the realisation they didn't really see Elsa as a cartoonishly evil cryomancer who wanted to rain death and ice down from the heavens, but an emotionally troubled young woman with a terminal case of resting smug face. God, does that last have some resting smug face on it. It's almost impressive in a way, isn't it? Just to like come across as that fucking smug in every piece of promotional art for you.
So if the people writing the song no longer see Elsa as a villain,
yes,
then they're obviously not going to write a villain song.
No, and obviously the one line direction they got from Disney is make it badass. So they interpreted that and used like the broad creative freedom they've been given to instead write the song as a celebration of her newfound power and intended it to be representative of the fact that Elsa is no longer hiding the power she's been forced to her entire childhood. And that idea is even directly alluded to in the final film where Elsa takes off the glove and cloak that she's been forced to wear to like hide her powers.
Yeah, and then lets her hair down, like physically as well as metaphorically.
Yeah. And I've seen people referencing that as some subtle thing that nobody noticed. And it's like, they mention it in the film. It's like who's the dipshit guy who's trying to get Anna in the sack? Who's that guy?
God,
He takes his gloves off, doesn't he, when he goes to like strangle her or whatever. It's, oh yeah, he's revealing his villainous intent by taking off his gloves. If only there was some sort of scene in the film that established that gloves were important, like Elsa putting on her gloves and then taking them off in the most memorable part of the entire fucking film.
So the writers of Elsa's song
Yes.
are now no longer seeing her as a villain.
No.
They're looking at her and seeing this like angsty teenage girl.
Yes, and obviously to write a song from the perspective of an angsty teenage girl instead of a villain, you have to get into a different mindset. So to get into that mindset, according to Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, what they did is just sat down and listened to a bunch of emo music. Just on repeat, get into the frame of mind that an angsty teenage girl would be in at that point in her life. And I'd like to think come on, Brad, throw out some of those those angst-filled emo bands. I'm gonna throw MCR straight away.
Oh,
the
yeah.
first album, I'm Not Okay is right up there. Fuck You, Won't Do What You Tell Me, Killing in the Name Of by Rage Against the Machine. The most on the nose fucking angst band ever, because it's literally called Rage Against the Machine. But whatever, I think they're signed to Universal Records, because nothing says Rage Against the Machine like being signed with the biggest fucking label in the music industry.
What about Crawling, Numb?
Oh yeah, Linkin Park are definitely on there. And obviously, if we're coming from the mindset of a angsty teenage girl, you got to have some fucking Paramore on there. Hayley Williams will be speaking directly to young Elsa in some of those songs. And then obviously, if you're going for female-led bands, you got to have some Nightwish in there.
Oh yeah.
A bit of Evanescence.
Bit of Within Temptation.
Oh, we're basically just talking about my playlist when I was in fucking college. But yeah, you'd have all them songs on there, wouldn't you? A bit of Avril Lavigne, if you want to go for that, you want that punk, but you want that pop edge, because you are writing a Disney song after all, aren't you? And Avril Lavigne is probably the most relevant one, because the songwriters would say the line, "The cold never bothered me anyway." They refer to that as the song's Avril Lavigne moment. It's they say they love the way that Elsa delivers it with such a sarcastic, bitchy tone. And there's a great interview with the songwriters when they're watching a load of videos of little girls doing karaoke of Let It Go. And they say that's our absolute favourite moment of the entire song, because no matter who's singing it, especially when it's a little girl, they just turn into bitchy little prima donnas for that line. And they spit it out of the camera with such venom, we fucking love it. We love the idea that these little girls are really getting into this song and just coming into their own, going, oh, fuck you, straight to camera basically. It's that's the best. That line, you can imagine it being delivered by a fucking drag queen, can't you? The amount of just bitchy sass.
It needs to have that
yeah,
in it, doesn't it?
It should have just clicking her fingers in all that way and ice coming out outside. Daenerys Targaryen behind her going, oh, come on. It's that's how you do it. I love that we have a resurgence of characters like that. It's strong female characters who don't give a fuck. Daenerys, we've got Elsa. Come on, we've got to be some more in recent fiction. It's all the Disney princesses after fucking Elsa. The one from Brave, Meridia's giving no fucks.
Oh no, she doesn't give it. She doesn't care at all.
As you can probably guess, the song the duo ended up writing was Let It Go. And although Disney executives positively loved it, with one producer claiming to have listened to it on repeat non-stop for 7 weeks on his trip to and from Disney Studios every single day, they didn't think it fit with the tone of the film. Before we continue, I just want to mention, that executive is a fucking baller-ass pimp, because he was experiencing what every parent was going to experience immediately after the release of Frozen. Because holy shit, did that song get a lot of play. Overplay, some might say.
I hope he had his window wound down, because obviously that film wasn't out.
Oh, yeah.
If he had his window wound down, he's leaning out and
I'm
screaming.
I'm hoping as well he looks exactly like Terry Crews. And he was doing the, the Vanessa Carlton thing. Oh, we should have mentioned some Vanessa Carlton, angst-filled girl rock music. Yeah. But yeah, I was hoping he was doing that Terry Crews moment, just overly dramatically singing Let It Go in his car, as people just went past going,
There's people people walking their daughters to school and they're listening to the song going, oh my god, that sounds great, not realising that soon they would just sing it themselves.
Soon their world will become Let It Go. Once Let It Go it would just consume every waking
They would all
moment.
be walking to school as Elsa. So as we all know from the final products that hit the cinemas, the song Let It Go was clearly much better than the script they'd written.
Yes, because Disney decided then and there upon hearing it, no, this song's too good, we're not getting rid of it and we're not going to rework it. This is Elsa's theme song. But obviously, it's too upbeat, it's too catchy, and the words don't really fit with the idea of a villain. So they rewrote her entire character, changing her from a heartless snow witch into a more sympathetic character little girls around the world could empathise with.
It does seem so stupid to think that they rewrote their entire script because one song was alright.
But that song was Let It Go, Brad. And you know how popular Let It Go was. So that's a fucking good choice on Disney's part. And as I mentioned earlier, executives went, this song's great. It's probably going to sell a load of records, but we can't give it to the character of Elsa as she stands now because we've like characterised her as this like evil, heartless snow witch. So let's make her more sympathetic in the story and introduce another villain. And I'm guessing it worked out because that film ended up grossing like $1 billion at the box office. So good on the people who wrote that song. Can we for a moment as well discuss how stupid the plot of Frozen is? Like, it's a good film, fantastically well animated, like that Let It Go is a brilliant song, but the idea that the king and queen would want Elsa to hide her powers when their primary export is ice. So they say that we sell ice, don't they? They sell ice to other places, and we have a little girl who's destined to one day rule our country who can make ice. Yeah, let's not use that power or allow us to cultivate it in any manner.
But even for the purposes of like military prowess, because clearly from that film, people want to take over their kingdom.
They do, and no fucker anyway is going to invade the country where Sub-Zero's side piece is ruling that bitch with an iron fist. So you'd have other kingdoms going, oh yeah, we're going to invade Arendelle with our fleet of ships, and Elsa can go, oh cool, I'm just going to freeze this bit of the water, send some snow golems over to punch your ships to pieces, and then leave. And then you can try and, like, if you want to step to me, bring it on. You're onto a point there, Brad, because the thing about ice powers is that they are broken as shit if you understand how they work. And there's a great moment in the X-Men comics where Iceman gets taken over by Emma Frost, and she goes like, oh, Iceman, you're a fucking idiot. You don't make ice, you remove energy from things, and that is OP as balls. It's like, he doesn't just make ice cubes with his fingertips, he removes energy from the environment, because that's all ice, isn't it? It's like when you remove energy from atoms, they stop moving and turn and then freeze. And that's what Elsa's power is. And
yeah, I think isn't Iceman like one of the few level 5 mutants?
Yeah, it's like he's an Omega level mutant.
But he doesn't know until he doesn't make ice.
Because he thought he just made ice. And Emma Frost goes, no, you remove energy from the atmosphere around you. And if you do that on a mass scale, you can fundamentally shift how the world's like environment will be. You can send us into the next ice age if you want to. And so could Elsa. Her powers are effectively infinite in like the scope of the world she lives in, because she can change the world on a whim.
So what you're saying is, like, the 4 horsemen of the Frozen Apocalypse would be
Elsa, Iceman,
Frozone, and Sub-Zero. You know what, Karl? Photoshop.
There we go.
I'm giving you it.
The four horsemen of the Ice Apocalypse is Elsa, Sub-Zero, Iceman from X-Men, and just Frozone. But they don't have, obviously, the 4 horsemen's horses. Like, Frozone's doing his thing, where he slides, and so's Iceman. But then you've got Sub-Zero, who's just riding on his dumb ice sword that he makes in one of the games. And then Elsa's just on top of, like, the snowman, just surfing that shit. It's a lot like Magneto's powers, where, like, early writers were like, oh yeah, he can, he can move metal around and shit like that. And then later writers realised, oh wait a minute, he controls a fundamental force of the universe, this guy's OP as shit. So realistically, the next Frozen film should just be Elsa ruling the entire fucking world from atop a 4,000 foot tall ice throne, just with giant ice fists just punching other kingdoms into dust.